Hi folks, welcome to this video on self-confidence. So I'll try and be as brief as I can on this. There are two key theories that you need to know regarding self-confidence, but I thought I'd just start with a couple of quick definitions. Number one, what is self-confidence? So self-confidence is a general feeling of positivity towards an event, situation, an opponent, something like that. The key thing is it's a general feeling. Now, another term that we use, and you may find me slipping into this term, is self-efficacy. Now, self-efficacy, if I just get my laser pointer on there, self-efficacy is a situational specific form of self-confidence. Now that's the key difference here, i.e. confidence towards a specific situation. So for example, you might be playing in a certain position for your team, so you're high in self-confidence, you're high in self-efficacy, but then your coach asks you to switch to, let's say, a more defensive position when you're normally a more attacking player. You might lose self-efficacy because you are not as confident playing in that specific situation. So self-efficacy is a situational specific form of self-confidence. Now, like I said, there's two key theories that we need to know about, and I apologise for sticking all the information on in one go, but I thought if it's up here, you're not having to wait or fast forward to find the bits that you want. It's all here in one go. So I'll take you through it one bit at a time. So this is Veely's model of sports confidence, okay? So the key parts of this model are the objective sports situation, sometimes called the sporting context. It can be anything: shooting in basketball, dribbling in football, passing in rugby. Just the objective sports situation is what you are currently doing, your current sports situation. Now, in different textbooks, you'll see slight variations of this diagram. So I'm going to add some arrows that you more commonly might see. Now, one arrow that I'm going to add really quickly, if I just change the colour of my pen, and I'll try and get it drawn on here. So you might see a diagram where it looks a little bit like this as well, where competitive orientation and trait sports confidence all feed into each other. Now, trait sports confidence in some textbooks called SC trait. Now use what those words mean. SC, sports confidence, trait. Traits are your characteristics. So that is what these things are here, okay? It is your innate or genetic or natural level of confidence. As a result, it's relatively fixed, stable or consistent. And it's your general belief about your sporting ability. So we call that your SC trait. So it's either going to be high or it's going to be low or it's going to be somewhere in between. If we come to the other side, what we've got is, I'll just change colour on my pen again, we have something called your competitive orientation, which is basically your current level of competitiveness. So let me try and explain what the difference between these two. Me, I would say that I have relatively high SC trait. I've played sport all my life. I've always enjoyed sport. I've played a lot of different sports. So I generally have, I think, a high level of SC trait. I'm naturally confident in playing sports. Now, me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, no, let's be honest, 20 years ago, would have shown high competitive orientation as well, because I've played a lot of competitive sport. Whereas me now, I've still got sports confidence. I'm still confident in my ability to play sports, but my desire to play competitive sport has gone down recently. So this one's relatively fixed. This one can change. This one can change over your lifetime, week by week, month by month, year by year. But both of them feed into what we call your SC state, sports confidence state, your current sport confidence in the current sporting situation. So if you have high SC traits, you are naturally a confident person associated with playing sport, and you have high competitive orientation, you are currently highly competitive, you will have high SC state. You are currently confident playing sports in whatever situation you are currently in. On the contrast to that, if you have low SC traits, you are not naturally a confident person playing sport, and you have no competitive orientation, you don't like being in competitive situations, you will therefore demonstrate low SC state. You will not be confident in any given sporting situation. Now this then feeds, and again I was changing the colour of my pen, so I apologise, into this here. Oops, daisy. Turn it onto the pen first. Okay, now this is sometimes called your behavioural response in some textbooks. On this diagram here, it's labelled performance of the skill, but but it's sometimes called the behavioural response. So if my SC state is high, and as I put, if their SC state is high, their behaviour/performance will be confident and show good elements. I'm high in natural self-confidence sport, I'm competitive at this, and I want to be competitive, so my confidence in the sport situation is good, so my behavioural response will be confident, and I would generally give a good account of myself. I'll perform quite well. If, however, my SC trait is low, I'm not naturally confident at sport, I have no desire to be competitive, my SC state, my sports confidence in a current situation, will therefore be low, so my behavioural response will be low in confidence and likely to be low in quality. And so these two things feed into that, which then influences your performance. So finally then, the subjective outcome of the skill, and that's where this comment comes in here. Emotions after your performance, in other words, and these then feed back into that, and into that. Because whether you did good or bad then feeds back into your natural level of confidence and your level of competition. And what Veely's model supports is that notion of when you're winning, you very often found that you keep winning. Why? Well, let's just go through the diagram one more time. Naturally high in sports confidence, so you've got high SC trait. You're naturally competitive, so you show confidence in many or all given sporting situations. You're high in SC state. That then leads to a high level of performance, which is high in confidence, and generally you will perform well. So your opinion of your outcome was very, very good, and that increases your desire to be competitive, and it increases your natural levels of confidence. But then obviously the exact opposite is true. If I have low levels of natural confidence, I am not very competitive, I will have low SC state, I will have low confidence in a given sporting situation. My performance will therefore be of a low standard and low in confidence, and then my subjective outcome will be, I definitely want to avoid competitive situations, and I definitely know I'm not that confident at sport. So it suggests the idea of when you keep winning, when you're winning, you keep winning, and when you're losing, you keep losing. The confidence feeds itself, but sometimes the lack of confidence feeds itself. So that was Veely's model of sports confidence. Now, the reason I gave those two definitions at the start was because there's another theory by Albert Bandura, and it's the model of self-efficacy. And if you remember, self-efficacy is sports confidence or self-confidence, in a specific situation. So this theory is much more to do with how we can affect, or how confidence can be affected by situation. Sorry, I'm just moving this. There's one slightly out of shape, so I do apologise. Bear with me. That's a little bit better. Now, let me start by saying these theories are not like in conflict with each other. You're not trying to pit one against the other. They are just different ways of trying to rationalise, justify, explain the same thing. So Bandura says that self-efficacy, your self-confidence in a specific situation, can be put down to 4 factors. Performance accomplishments, which is also known as successful performance. Vicarious experiences, which are labelled as it should be. Whoops-a-daisy. On the diagram here, still labelled as vicarious experiences here. We have got verbal persuasion, and finally emotional arousal. Now these 4 things all come into what we call the self-efficacy bias, and then the athletic performance, which we're going to have a look at now. Well, we'll go look at in a second. I'm just going to tell you what it says here and just briefly try and explain it. So performance accomplishments is if you want to increase someone's self-efficacy, make them feel good, make them more self-confident, remind them of their past successes. Put these successes down to their ability and effort. Every time you get, so that you've done something right and it's because you played well and tried hard, that is going to boost your self-efficacy. So your performance accomplishments are your past successes, and if you can put them down to ability and effort, that will boost your self-efficacy. Well, there's something else called a vicarious experience. Now, you might have heard of someone living vicariously through someone else. That is exactly what we're doing. We do it all the time. It's when you watch someone else of a similar ability playing, performing well, and that then boosts your self-efficacy. Now, an example of that would be something like, say, do trampolining or gymnastics at school, and your teacher gives a demonstration of a somersault or a vault, and you stand there think, yeah, well, you're older than me, you're a qualified teacher, you should be able to do it. I'm not doing that. I don't think I can do that. So you've got low self-efficacy. But then you see someone in your class, student, similar age to you, similar ability to you, perform a somersault or a vault. When you see them do it right, you immediately think, all right, I'll have a go at that. If they can do it, I can do it. That's a vicarious experience. You build your self-efficacy by watching somebody else have success in action, but it only really works well if they are similar ability to you. So next then is this verbal persuasion. So receiving praise and positive feedback is going to make you feel more confident. It's going to increase your self-efficacy. So if you do something right and someone says, that was brilliant, well done, great technique, whatever it was, that is going to increase your self-efficacy. And that is going to be enhanced even more if that praise or feedback or that verbal persuasion is coming from someone you admire, a role model. The phrase that sometimes like to use is significant other. Okay, so anyone who you think your opinion is worth something, if they say you're doing it right, that's going to boost your self-efficacy. And finally, we've got emotional arousal. So controlling over-arousal through cognitive and somatic techniques is also going to boost your self-efficacy. Remember, when you get aroused and you get to optimal arousal, your performance is good, or at its best. If you become over-aroused, your performance starts to deteriorate. If you're in that situation, your self-confidence and self-efficacy are dropping. So if we can use various cognitive and somatic techniques, imagery, mental rehearsal, sensoring, any of those, we can control our emotional arousal, we can keep an optimal arousal and therefore have high self-efficacy. Now, what these four feed into is this self-efficacy bias or self-efficacy judgments, as it's also known. And this is your expectation of the performer, of yourself in this case, to achieve success. So that's what this is here. And then obviously that then feeds into your athletic performance. Your athletic performance, which if these four are high, you have a strong self-efficacy bias or judgment, therefore you will have improved self-efficacy and you will be a much stronger performer, a more confident performer in that situation. So they're the two models of self-confidence and self-efficacy. Like I said, they're not in contrast to each other, they're not in conflict with each other, just two different ways of looking at how confidence can affect sports performance, but crucially how we can go about boosting self-confidence and self-efficacy in order to increase confidence standards in performance. So I hope you found this video useful, folks.